two-way players, a lot of depth at the guard and forward positions, but thinner at center with only Jackson Hayes alongside AD. At the Las Vegas Summer League, Rob Pelinka discussed how they are looking to fill that 14th spot.
We are actively in the market to add another big. Coach and I have talked a little bit with Anthony in the offseason about more minutes of some of the 2020 success we had where Anthony got to play with a big. I think adding Jackson Hayes was key to that. I think Jackson, much like maybe Dwight Howard in that stretch for us, big body, rim protective, active roller. When you have on-ball guys like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, having someone who's willing to sacrifice their body and set a screen is important. I think Jackson's going to be big there, but we are looking to add an additional center as well.
As you guys look at other bigs that are out there, it's a pretty, I mean, it's late free agency, right? It's a more narrow sort of pool. Is there a particular kind of big you guys want? Is it someone who could potentially step in and start a handful of games should AD get hurt? Is it someone who could fill the role off the bench? What's sort of the priority?
Yeah, I think dimensionalizing the skills at that position would be important. So we don't want to sign someone who replicates the skills that Jackson Hayes has. So if we can diversify the big position and have different looks, that would be good.
With the extra big position, is something you want to figure out before training camp starts, or do you have the flexibility of having that roster spot or two to, I guess, see your options?
Yeah, I think the greatest likelihood is that we will fill the 14th position before training camp. The 15th one is more open.
All right, we've heard names like Bismack Biyombo, Christian Wood as potential additions. Who should the Lakers keep their eye on? Brez, why don't you go first?
Yeah, obviously one of those two. You know, the Lakers have one spot left. It's going to be a vets minimum deal, so we're not talking a ton of money here. I'm going to go with Christian Wood. And here's why. You know, Dan Wakey from the LA Times, who was asking Rob Pelinka one of the questions there, I thought he hit on something. You know, what if AD misses time? Which one of those two could fit in more rapidly for AD's production? The answer is Christian Wood. I mean, look, he averaged 18 and 8 for Dallas until they acquired Kyrie. Then he had to take a backseat a little bit, but those are good numbers on what was a pretty good team. I guess you could even say until Kyrie showed up, and then, well, they kind of went downhill a little bit. But I love what Christian Wood can give you. I keep hearing he's not a great defender, and okay, maybe that's true, but he does block shots. So it's not like he stands under there and he gives you no rim protection. Also sticks threes, so I really like his overall skill set. Again, if the Lakers get him for a vet's minimum contract, that's a nice 14th spot on that roster.
So I think he definitely has the higher upside, right? Mm-hmm. Christian Wood is a player that, with the right team and the right fit, can probably have most productivity. If I look at the Lakers, if there's one thing that I think they did all offseason, they put players there that made the most sense. Biyombo, to me, is a player that will be a rim protector, will grab rebounds, will fit in the locker room. You kind of won't have any issues with him. So I look at Biyombo as potentially a player that can jump into that role, and there's your depth. I know it's a little bit different of a look. I know he's more of a traditional defensive center.
Yeah, he can't score like a Christian Wood can.
100% he cannot. You're 100% right on that. And I guess the question is, do you want somebody that will be more defensive focused, or maybe somebody in Christian Wood that's more offensive focused?
Completely different abilities right there, no doubt.
All right, guys, still to come. Austin Reeves is getting a chance to represent the USA in the FIBA World Cup ahead. Steve Kerr with some high praise for the newly signed Reeves. Plus, the NBA has been as busy as ever this summer with trades and free agency. Up next, Brez and Slee will give their power rankings for who has made the best moves this offseason. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers. I'm your host, Chris McGee, joined by our Laker insider, Michael Bresnan, and host of Lakers Talk on ESPN LA 710, Alan Slewa. And I believe, Slee, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
I believe that congrats are in order because you won ESPN 710 LA Radio Host of the Year at the Mandy's a couple weeks back.
Yeah. Just kind of shows you how screwed up the world is. You know, the fact if I'm winning that thing, I don't know what's going on.
Were you surprised?
Yes.
Who was the favorite? Sedano?
I think
Kaplan won it last year.
Kaplan won it last year. I think Mace was coming in.
Mason thinks he's going to win it every year.
Mace was coming in as kind of a heavy favorite.
He was disappointed.
Yep. And I guess, just kind of a quiet underdog just kind of came in out of nowhere.
Did you thank Geeter and me in your speech?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
a couple times.
Appreciate it.
There is video.
Not on that video.
Yeah,
it was a different video.
I did see a great picture of you just kind of like, I think it was late night, just the robe, trophy, cigar. I mean, it was a celebration.
Was
so
trying to be very humble.
Congrats.
And granted, I had a robe on with a cigar.
Yeah.
Very humble.
No, that's great.
Man. Well, I know
Congrats.
everyone was happy for you at the station. I heard Mace and Johnny and everyone talking about it. So very cool, very cool. Did you guys understand the theme that was going on there at the beginning of the show? A lot of D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, yeah.
How can we not talk about it?
Okay, because it became official on Friday of last week. D'Angelo Russell is returning to the Lakers on a 2-year deal worth a reported $37 million. D'Lo averaged over 17 per game, shot 41% from deep in his 17 games after he was traded to LA. Brez spoke with Lakers GM Rob Pelinka about the return of Russell.
I think bringing D'Lo back was so important, and we look at the whole experience that we have with the player. And when we first traded for him, he was one of the primary keys in helping us get into the playoffs. You know, overcoming the 0.4% odds that Darvin likes to put on the boards. When LeBron was out with injury, D'Angelo was leading us in a lot of areas, assists, scoring, and just having him back is really important as one of our quarterbacks. And I know he's going to challenge himself this year to be great in the playoffs too. He's a special player. Knows that maybe in the last series he didn't get used the way he wanted to, but I think he'll take that challenge on so that when we get back in the playoffs this year, he's going to be a really key ingredient to us hopefully getting all the way.
D'Lo, deal, Brez, I'll start with you. What can you tell us about it? I mean, in terms of the price, the length, this seems like a great deal.
You know, I would say it's good for both sides. You know, definitely the Lakers, you look at the total value, $37 million over 2 years. Look, D'Lo just made $31 million this past season, so good value for the Lakers as a franchise. It's good for D'Lo too, because it's a 2-year deal, like you said, totaling about $37 million. It's a second-year player option. So if he has a good year, you know, next season, which is only, a couple months away, Slee, from training camp, then he can repeat the free agent process again if he wants to decline, that second year of the contract. So it's good for both sides. I like it. I think it probably would have been higher if D'Lo had not had a rough Western Conference Finals against Denver, but still, pretty good numbers for the team, no doubt about it.
Jump in there.
I think, you know, I really look at it, I think more team-friendly for the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell's got some work to do, but if you'd have told me coming into the offseason that's what you're going to land D'Lo on, it sounds like a great deal for the Lakers.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I know we continue to say this, and some people probably are not crazy about it. If, hypothetically, D'Angelo Russell, you get to the trade deadline, you're starting to make some decisions, I don't think there's too many teams that are going to look at that contract and say, well, I don't like that, what it could be for my team or the future.
It's a friendly contract.
It's a good
Friendly
number.
contract, yeah. And there is that clause in there that he can get traded. So I think that's important. That was something that came out yesterday.
Alan, I'll stay with you and then Brez jump in. Are you happy D'Lo's returning, and do you like that fit when you saw it alongside LeBron and AD, especially when LeBron got healthy in the playoffs game?
Here's what I worry about with D'Angelo Russell. It's not that he's not a talented player. It's not that he can't put up stats on paper. My question is, 2 minutes left to go in a playoff game. Is D'Lo in the game? And that's I think you look at the playoffs, the answer was no. He wasn't in the game. That Dennis Schroeder was getting those minutes. Some other guys were getting those minutes. So do I like D'Angelo Russell on the Lakers? I think it's the right thing for now. But I also would try to look if there's ways to upgrade that position. I think the Lakers should always look at that.
Yeah, and they did. You know, I know we're going to talk about Gabe Vincent in a little bit here, but I thought that was a good signing as well. And you're going to have maybe a 1A and a 1B between the two of those guys. I like D'Lo, but you're right. He doesn't have that playoff experience that LeBron and AD have. So there are going to be times where he, obviously, Game 4 of the West Finals, one of those times where he's not going to be used as much. He lost his starting job before that game. He played, only a handful of minutes, period, in the last game of the Lakers season. Still, I think it's a good contract. I do like the fit. You know, compare and contrast how they did with him as a point guard compared to Westbrook. It's not even close. I mean, this guy runs a half-court offense, can stick threes. I like his change of gears ability when he goes to the bucket. I think it's a good deal for everyone, really.
Brez, you mentioned Gabe Vincent. Do you like the idea of bringing in Vincent? Do you think it pushes D'Lo? Do you like that healthy competition, as they say? I talked to Gabe Vincent last week. You and I sat on this set and talked about it as well. He said, listen, whatever role they play me in, I'm good to go. I just want to help impact this team.
Yeah, young guy, 27 years old, kind of went the unorthodox route, undrafted out of UC Santa Barbara. What does that tell me? He's hungry. He's a guy who wasn't like a lottery pick and landed on his feet and started scoring, 17 points a game as a rookie right away. This guy's tough. And we saw a lot of it in the playoffs. Actually, we started seeing of it a lot during Miami's regular season because Kyle Lowry missed most of it. I mean, he was just in and out of the lineup so often. And then Hero got hurt early in the playoffs. So what happened? Gabe Vincent, 22 points in the clinching Game 5 against Milwaukee in the first round. And then 29 points against Boston in Game 3 of the East Finals. At 29 points, put his team up 3-0 in games. So he had big games in big points of the playoffs. So I'm really excited to see him play. Envious you got to interview him.
Yeah.
I heard he's a great personality, good guy in the locker room. So very, very nice signing. Yet another one by the Lakers.
And I don't think Gabe Vincent's going to be necessarily competing with D'Angelo Russell. I think he's just a competitor. Look at his story, how he got into the league, how he ended up with a franchise like the Miami Heat, how he had moments in the playoffs where he's being interviewed on Inside the NBA TNT. And it's just, I say all that because I don't want to say he came out of nowhere, but he kind of came out of nowhere. And naturally, he's just going to compete. And the same thing that you were saying about, you listen to some of his interviews. He joined Travis and I last week as well. And everything is about, look, I just want to win. That's it.
Yeah.
However we get there, we get there. But naturally, I think that's, you got to, if you're D'Angelo Russell, you're looking back a little bit.
Do you like that fit now that Dennis is gone, like to plug in Gabe Vincent, who can also close games, start games if someone's hurt, he can really play any role?
Kind of reminds me. And you could make the argument Dennis Schroeder was kind of the same thing, rolled up his sleeves, came hard to work. But there are some similar